program today, along with the University of Oklahoma College of Law. We've got a great program lined up for you to talk about online privacy and behavioral advertising. We have speakers from Washington, D.C., Dallas, Texas, and right here in Norman, Oklahoma. We'll go ahead and get started with someone who probably doesn't need any introduction, who's been here in Norman for a long time now, the Dean of the College of Law at the University of Oklahoma, Dean Andrews.
We're talking about what's called behavioral advertising, which is the tracking of consumer web search and web browsing activities to create a distinct profile on your use of the internet.
Our next speaker is a true expert in online privacy. MSNBC has actually declared he's a pioneer of internet law. He has a long, distinguished career as an attorney dealing with online privacy issues, and most recently, he is the co-chair of the Future of the Privacy Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage Mr. Christopher Wolf.
We are in a new era where technology, specifically the internet, has made it possible to collect enormous amounts of information about us, and for us to give up that information, and for that information to be stored and shared and used in ways that we may or we may not like. MoveOn.org and others just went nuts when they learned about Facebook tracking what you do on online retail sites and having it recorded on your site. And so you've got a company kind of just ad hocing it and not really thinking through what the design of privacy ought to be for this service that can be incredibly intrusive. And so finally, a few days later, December 5th, 2007, the founder of Facebook basically does a mea culpa. And it says, we released this new product and we made a lot of mistakes building this feature, but we made even more with how we handled them. We simply did a bad job in this release. The moral of the story is that if we're going to have online tracking, and it can take place in lots of different ways, that's why I say you really shouldn't focus on the technology necessarily, but on what's happening. What data is being collected, how's it being shared, and then think about how do you inform the consumer and give them the option to control their information. As this issue has percolated onto the national agenda, both on the House side and the Senate side, there have been hearings. There was a hearing last summer on the House side, and the question was, as the Dean correctly put it, do we need a new law to deal with the tracking of consumers online? The FTC, which is charged, our #1 agency charged with consumer protection, said no. We have the authority we need under Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act. The ISP said no, but if you are going to enact a law, it should be technology neutral. And some privacy advocates said there are lots of good actors out there, but there's some bad actors who've got to have a baseline. From a consumer perspective, it's really eye-opening, the technology that we have today, and how corporations can really peer into your personal lives and see what they're doing. You know, our organization represents consumers, but we wanted to take a look at the corporate perspective as well. And as Mr. Wolf mentioned earlier in his presentation, there were 3 major corporations that presented testimony before the U.S. Senate Commerce Committee on September 25th, AT&T, Verizon, and Time Warner Cable. Today, from AT&T, we have Mr. Keith Epstein.
We use focus groups to understand what our customers think about privacy and online behavioral advertising. We look at what our competitors are doing. We look at what's happening both in the U.S. and overseas. And we engage external stakeholders. We actually talk with regulators, and we talk with privacy groups, and we talk with individual consumers and with businesses, and we ask them what we need. We see 4 pillars of the privacy framework. First is transparency. We'll provide our customers with notice of how we use and protect the personal information we provide when we provide online behavioral advertising. We'll ensure personal information is not used for online behavioral advertising without customers' consent. That is an aspect of customer control. The customer, will be the one making the choices. We'll vigorously protect the privacy of customers and their personal information. Now, this is an area that we know a great deal about. We have had privacy protection regulations, really going back to the 1980s in Consumer 1 and Computer 1 and Computer 2 regulations, where we had an obligation to protect customer proprietary network information. So among industries, this is something we know a great deal about, and we're pretty good at doing it. We understand our customers expect the information to get private, and we do everything we can to keep it private for them. And last, the customer value. We'll strive to offer our customers value for participating in any online behavioral advertising program. If you give the customer the option to opt out, say, I don't want to be any part of this, in order to get them to come back in, you have to give them something of value. If they don't perceive the value, they will not opt in, and that's a principle that we